Today was their last witness that they brought to the stand in the case against Paul and Ruben Flores.
For many years, Kristin Smart's face hovered over California highways on billboards. A young woman, gentle eyes, a smile that never had the chance to grow old. This was not an advertisement. It was not a promotion. It was a question without an answer. Where is Kristin Smart? That question haunted an entire community, and it lasted for more than 25 years. Kristin Denise Smart was born on February 20th, 1977. She was born in Augsburg, Germany, in a family of American military personnel. Kristin was the oldest child, the protector of her siblings. Her family described her as a dreamer. Kristin loved the ocean. She loved swimming. She loved adventure. Before college, Kristin worked as a lifeguard. She spent a summer working at a camp in Hawaii. Her mother called it her dream job. In 1996, Kristin enrolled at Cal Poly, a university in San Luis Obispo, California, a quiet town, a place considered safe. Kristin initially studied architecture. Later, she changed her major to communications. She told her mother she wanted to be a reporter. She wanted to travel the world. Kristin did not know her final journey would be so short. On Memorial Day weekend, 1996, Kristin attended an off-campus party. She wore a cropped gray shirt, black shorts, and red Puma shoes. Her friend Margarita Campos remembered Kristin wanted to stay longer. The last thing Margarita said was, "Be careful." Around 2 a.m. on May 25th, Kristin was found passed out on a lawn. She could barely walk. Two students decided to help her back to her dorm. Their names were Tim Davis and Cheryl Anderson. During the walk, another man appeared. His name was Paul Flores. Paul said he lived nearby. He offered to help. The group began walking toward campus. They had to stop several times. Kristin was barely conscious. Paul held her around the waist. Kristin rested her arms around his neck. Tim Davis turned back because he lived off campus. Only 3 remained. Cheryl began to feel uneasy. She noticed Paul's behavior. It felt strange. It felt inappropriate. Paul repeatedly suggested Cheryl go ahead. Before leaving for her dorm, Cheryl made Paul promise to take Kristin home safely. Paul said he would. Cheryl watched as Paul and Kristin disappeared into the darkness. That was the last time Kristin Smart was ever seen. Kristin never returned to her room. She never went to class. She never called home. This was unusual. Kristin always called her family on Sundays. But that Sunday, the phone stayed silent. Her roommate noticed her wallet and belongings were still there. Kristin never came back. 3 days later, a missing person report was filed. 3 critical days were lost. Paul Flores became the focus. He was the last person seen with Kristin. Police noticed a bruise around his eye. His explanations kept changing. First, he blamed a basketball game. Then he claimed an accident. Cadaver dogs were brought into the dorm. 4 dogs, 4 alerts, all pointing to Paul's room. Specifically, the area near his mattress. There was no body. There were no charges. Paul Flores remained free. Kristin's family never gave up. They paid for billboards. They hired private investigators. They searched for answers themselves. Meanwhile, Paul Flores continued his life, but allegations followed him. Women reported harassment. Others reported being drugged. For years, it was only words, until one person broke the silence. His name was Chris Lambert. Chris grew up seeing Kristin's billboards. He was not a police officer. He was not a lawyer. He was someone who refused to accept silence. The podcast Your Own Backyard was released. Witnesses began to speak. Old stories resurfaced. Pressure returned. In 2021, police searched the home of Paul's father. Cadaver dogs were deployed. Ground-penetrating radar was used. Beneath the wooden deck, investigators found biological evidence that a body had once been buried there. Paul Flores was arrested. He was charged with murder. In 2022, a jury reached a verdict. Paul Flores was found guilty. He was sentenced to 25 years to life. Kristin Smart has still not been found. Her family continues to wait, But Kristin is no longer forgotten. Her name is tied to campus safety reform. Her story reminds us the truth can be buried, but it cannot disappear forever. Kristin Smart, the girl who walked into the night and never came home.